And we're live. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us. Pam Farland, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much to everybody that is jumping in. As you know, it takes Zoom a couple of seconds to just let all the attendees jump in. I just want to say thank you so much for being here for the last 2020 event for 50 Strong. Thank you so much. As we are getting started, I'm going to launch a quick poll. If you could give us some feedback on that, I'd really appreciate it. Awesome. So again, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that's joining us today. I know how busy we all are, especially now with the holidays. So I really appreciate you all being here. You know, the premise of 50 Strong when we started this was really just this observation that we personally know that navigating civilian employment can be really complicated when you're accustomed to military norms. What we hope that we're able to do with 50 Strong is to provide a warm connection and direct exposure to those in industry that can just help navigate this brave new world a little bit. We know that transition is really critical. For those of you that are student veterans that are joining us, that have maybe chosen a full-time education pathway post-military, your transition is even longer. And so we hope that you are finding this kind of ongoing exposure to employers really helpful. It looks like 2/3 of you have joined us before. So I just want to say thank you so much. It looks like 40% of you have watched at least one 50 Strong replay. We try to put all of them on our website within 24 hours because, again, we know life is busy and we want you to have access to the information. And it looks like about 1/3 of you are student veterans and a little over half of you are currently active duty. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. So as we get started, hopefully, since most of you have been with us before, you know a little bit about me and Kevin. My background is almost 20 years on the corporate side with some really large companies, but also consulting for some small companies as well. About 3 years ago, I jumped headfirst into the veteran sphere. And it's been kind of 3 years of drinking from a fire hose, but really focused a lot around the employment side. And probably in large part, that's due to how critical employment was in my own family. And so, Kevin, thank you for joining me on this fall project. I met Kevin shortly after he got out of the military. And let's just say at some point I'll write a memoir called Help Me, I Fell in Love with a Transitioning Service Member. But employment was a really important part of us navigating kind of our own future together. So Kevin, thank you for being here. And if you wouldn't mind to just say hello and welcome everybody, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Candy. And yeah, it's been interesting. I'm really grateful that you've spun this thing up. As a lot of you guys have heard in some of the previous events, my transition was a little bit rough, and Candy was really critical in getting me over the hump to get a regular job. So really grateful for today having ADP on. We got a couple other special guests here. But really grateful for everybody taking the time to join. That's kind of that first step of being interested and curious and trying to figure out a way to transition, where I did not do that. I just got out and I'm like, I'll just figure it out. I'll act like an athlete and, figure something out. And it was clearly the wrong move. So the purpose of this, this 50 Strong is to help get you guys to connected to these companies. It doesn't have to be ADP. It can be any one of, even just learning, just being around the culture. And I was talking to the group earlier about that kind of imposter syndrome that I felt, where even when you go in the military, you're totally new, you don't understand it. So the more you're in it, the more you learn the language, the more you learn the culture. And this is really what this is. As Kenny mentioned, it's the exposure. So really grateful to have you on today. This is the last one of the for the year, and we'll be continue on. But excited to have you guys on. We have a great crew as well. So thanks for being here, and Candy, thanks for the opportunity to chat with everybody.
And Kevin, I'll also just say, for those of you that are working on your degree right now, Kevin had a degree when he got out and still found it a little bit difficult. So, what we hope is that regardless of wherever you are in your education journey, that this exposure to industry is helpful for everybody.
Right. To be clear, though, it was a philosophy degree. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know if that counts as like like getting a job degree and whatnot, but carry on. Okay. I just want to be clear about that. It wasn't like a
no offense to anybody with philosophy degrees, of course. Okay, so you guys, I want to make sure that we're introducing all of our special guests really quickly. Here's what I want you to know. Over the last 15 weeks, for those of you that have joined us multiple times, here's what I want you to know first and foremost. Our employer partners are actively seeking your skills, and most all of them have resource-specific military pathways to full-time employment. The second thing that I want you to know is maybe you look at the participating companies that we've had on and you say, you know what, I don't want to go the big corporate route. That's not for me. Fine. The point is not necessarily for you to work for one of these companies. Although what I will tell you is, I think that when you hear directly from them, you might change your mind, because some of these companies are doing some awesome work. But here's the thing, maybe one of these companies is a good fit for you, maybe not. What we hope is that the repetitive exposure that you're getting from lots of different folks and lots of different companies helps to provide tools for your own job search. So this series has been sponsored by Deloitte, Amazon, Tech Systems, and ADP, and we are thrilled to have ADP, a whole party of folks from ADP here with us today. Another really important group that I want to give a shout out to is our university partners. So for this fall project, we are strategically partnering with 4 universities. These are schools that are leaning in on outcomes, employment outcomes for their military connected students. They are also leaning in on what does it mean to be a community engagement hub for our military community. So I want to say a special thank you to the University of South Florida, the Texas A&M University System, the University of South Carolina, and the University of Arizona. I'm just in a second going to introduce you to a special guest that's joined us from Arizona. I also want to give a shout out to our strategic partners who are just every day working so hard. If there are 2 groups, 2 kind of things to think about after this call, Veterati is a platform that I think every service member, spouse, and veteran should be using. Because it just is an easy way to connect to lots of people in industry. Secondly is DoD SkillBridge. If you are still active duty, please make sure that DoD SkillBridge is on your radar. With that, we are super excited to share with you that we have some special guests, including the Director of DoD SkillBridge Credentialing. We're here with us today, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Morley, who is still serving, Cody Nichols from the University of Arizona, a whole group of folks from ADP. And guys, I do have just a little bit of bad news. Kathy Henice from Boeing called me this morning. She is very sick and not able to join us, but she did send me some information to share with you. So what I would like to do is I'm going to stop the screen share so that you can see everybody's gorgeous faces. For everybody out there, here's what I hope you will see. This is the biggest group that we've ever had for 50 Strong. And all these folks are here because they want to help support your career journey. So if I may, Cody, would you mind to just say a quick hello, couple minutes to everybody? Introduce yourself again, Cody, if you don't mind. We're really happy you're here, Cody.
Certainly. Thanks, Candy and Kevin, for the opportunity. And for everybody that is here on this call, you're in the right place. And so I'm Assistant Dean of Students for Military and Veteran Engagement at the University of Arizona. And, one of the things we have learned, not to jump right into it, but I'm going to jump right into it, is a lot of our veteran population and military population would find themselves waiting around for the career events to happen on campus. When the reality of it is, you've got to be so much more in front of the ball to be competitive for getting a job at places like ADP, right? And here's a great opportunity because you've got folks from ADP on this call that you can connect with, right? So being on LinkedIn, being active on LinkedIn, connecting with folks online, knowing where you want to be in 2 or 3 years from now and planning on how you're going to get there is critical. I mean, if you could even take a step further back, for those of you that are still in the service, if you don't know much about SkillBridge, do everything you can to learn and participate in SkillBridge, because the earlier you make that transition, in other words, while you're still in the service, if you can participate in the SkillBridge program, the better off you're going to be when that transition day comes and you get out of the military. So utilize, for those of you that are in, utilize SkillBridge. Do everything you can to utilize the SkillBridge program. And if you're out and if you're a college student, if you're getting ready for employment now, great, you're in the right place. If you still got 2 or 3 years to go, perfect, because now is the time to start connecting. Now is the time to start meeting the folks within the industry you want to get into or the company you want to get into to learn about it and make those connections. I'll stop there, Candy, because I really want to hear what Boris has to say, and I really want to hear what Scott Morley has to say, because there's never a dull moment when Scott's talking. So I'm going to stop there. And thank you, Candy and Kevin, again.
Thank you so much, Cody. Boris, do you mind to just say hello to everybody for a couple minutes?
Sure, not a problem. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Candy, for inviting me to the last session of 50 Strong for FY20. What a year we have had with COVID-19, but thank you everybody for participating. I just want to let everybody know that for the SkillBridge program, FY20 has been an amazing year. We want to thank leaders like Scott who have really been spearheading from a leadership standpoint from the command level and supporting the program, because it is not a fairy tale program. It is an actual program. And for those of you who have maybe been to the website already, it is a DoD program and it is real. It has come to be because the reality is the best way to affect a service member in a successful transition to employment is to really have you participate in an employment training program while you're still in uniform, and afford you that opportunity while you're still in uniform, if that's possible, if the mission allows to. And we want to thank leaders like Scott, who's allowed that to happen. So we look forward to FY21 to seeing the same success and to allowing our service members who want to participate in employment training. For those of you who have not, and those of you who are veterans like myself, I was medically retired, so Scott and I had a wonderful conversation prior to. So please help those who are still serving. That's my always take is always give back to those who are still serving. Always support those who have given, raised their right hand. So nobody's ever looking for a handout. They're looking for a hand up. So that's how I look at SkillBridge. I will always be here from the OSD. I'm at the Office of Secretary of Defense. My job is customer service. So that's how I look at it. So for those of you who are still wearing a uniform, I look at it from that standpoint. I wore a uniform with you. I stood the watch. So my job is to stand the watch and make sure you have the same opportunities that are afforded to you. And if there's an industry partner that wants to be a partner and afford you an opportunity to participate in SkillBridge and has a meaningful employment opportunity and career for you, we will make sure they have an open door, and if their doors are open for you. So I look forward to this conversation. I don't want to take away from any meaningful conversation ADP and anybody else has here. So thank you again. And thank you for everybody who's been actively engaged this year. FY20 was a pretty impressive year all across the board. We've had our challenges, but every challenge is an opportunity, as they say. So thank you again, and I look forward to FY21. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Cody and Boris, for that perspective. Scott, there's a really important component of SkillBridge, and that relies on command approval for service members that want to participate. So I just want to personally say thank you for being here. Guys, fun fact, Scott is a really close friend of mine and Kevin's, and he we do crash his vacations from time to time. So Scott, I just want you to know how much we appreciate you joining us for this last session, and would love to just let you have the floor for a couple minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. I'm gonna try not to screw this up. After Cody gives me that kind of intro and you're vouching for me as a personal friend, that means I gotta like show up. So, but hey, everyone, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Morley. I'm a career Special Forces officer, and then my last assignment was as the recruiting battalion commander in Phoenix, Arizona. That's how I got to meet the lovely Miss Candy Tillman. And quite frankly, through her is how I learned this process, right? So I'll tell you, to kind of back up what Cody said, like you're in the right spot. Simply by taking part in these webinars, I think is something that I wish I had done prior to reaching the last couple of years of service. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so, like, frankly, through talking to Candy and Kevin and Boris, and then going through transition and internship approvals, like for Keon Cortez, who's on here today, and I hope we hear from. And by the way, that lady's like Midas. Like, everything she touches turns to gold. So I have no doubt she's going to knock it out of the park for ADP now. I mean, so me personally, right? So I'm not bragging, but I'm giving you context, right? So I'm a West Point graduate. I have an Ivy League master's degree. I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. I had never written a resume before, right? That's where you're at. And so the military culture, and then, by the way, coming from special operations, I was off social media on purpose, right? Like, complete culture shift to now you're coming out of service and you have to be able to explain what value you're bringing to a company. Like, I learned all that through these conversations. So I'm a believer, right? And not only am I an advocate, I'm also a client. So I'm actually just started my own internship with a small veteran-based or veteran-owned executive coaching and consulting firm based outside Seattle. But I'll be doing it remote from Phoenix, and it's all because of conversations and what I've learned going through this process. So I'll tell you that I will say that I think starting from the top of DOD, the culture is shifting. It's not shifted, but it is shifting. And I think you're going to see a lot more command approvals for things like this because there's a long-term strategy involved. So the more successful transitions we have, it's better for recruiting, it's better for retention, because people will get more comfortable with, okay, I know that I'm going to have a successful transition. My command is going to back me up, and that's good for the overall health of DOD, of the Army, of the Navy, whatever service in the long run. So I think the culture's changing. It's culture shift. It's not going to happen overnight. But I applaud each and every one of you for being on here today. Thank you very much to the corporate partners who are on. I can't wait to hear from Keon and hear her perspective, because I know she and I have talked, and she's loving what she's doing at ADP already, and the culture and the kind of the onboarding as they've brought her on as an intern. But I'll tell you, as a sitting 05 commander, I approved 100% of the SkillBridge applications that I got across my desk, because it makes sense. Everybody wins. And it's a no-brainer for the service member. It's a no-brainer for the corporate employer. It's a no-brainer for DOD for all those reasons I mentioned. So again, Kevin, Candy, thank you. You not only crash my vacations, I crash your holidays. So you're lucky you just land up with the Morley family back at your house for Thanksgiving again this year. But thank you guys, and I'll be hopping off this and then hopping back on as a participant. But I'll be listening in. If anybody has any questions for me, hit me on the chat. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Guys, and with that, you are also seeing lots of other great looking folks joining us from Team ADP. This is the most participants we've ever had from one employer. I just want to say thank you all for being here. Scott and Boris have been in discussions with me numerous times with Harris and Laura Lynn at ADP. And so I just appreciate you guys bringing the whole team to share with everybody that's jumping on. So guys, here's what I'd like to do. If you could all just quickly introduce yourselves, I'm going to take back. I have a couple more just setup slides I want to show folks. And then Harris, I'm going to hand it back over to you for as much time as you guys need. So Harris, is that okay? Just some quick introductions so everybody knows who's who.
Sounds good. You want me to start off?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. How about that? So Harris Morris, I'm a 22-year Army veteran. I retired in 2012, moved into corporate America. I was an armor officer, So I always like to say that there's not a whole lot of tanks out in corporate America that I've been able to find. So I had to figure out some of those transferable skills and how to communicate them. And so, regardless of your rank, whether you're, a junior enlisted, you're an NCO, senior NCO officer, all the way up, we all have to go through this, every one of us. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all of us. So, the fact that you're on here and doing this right now is absolutely the right thing. And we can talk more about my experience when we were getting out. But just, thanks for the opportunity, Candy, for 50 Strong having us here. And, I'd be remiss if I did not say, go Army, beat Navy. That's this Saturday. And so for those of you on the line that might be elsewhere, my apologies.
Awesome. Laura Lynn, would you mind to jump in?
Sure, thanks so much. So Laura Lynn Smith, I'm the general manager here in our Tempe location in Arizona, and I'm the daughter of an Air Force captain, so Air Force near and dear to my heart. So really want to say congrats to all of you and kudos to all of you for joining this session. Taking the time to focus on your development and prepare yourself for the future is fantastic. We're really excited to share all about ADP and hopefully look forward to seeing some of you someday soon.
So I'm going to just jump in with a quick story about Laura Lynn. So for those of you that may be stationed at Luke Air Force Base, the career fair at Luke Air Force Base, shout out to Angel Johnson, by the way, Angel, if you happen to be on. The last career fair at Luke was right before COVID hit. There were tons of companies there, and I remember walking around with my dear friend Dory, who I think may be joining us. Here's what I want everybody to know. Laura Lynn Smith was there at the Luke Air Force Base career fair, and as a general manager was the highest ranking business leader at the entire career fair. So Laura Lynn, I just want you to know, thank you, how much I appreciate your dedication, your championship. None of this would be possible, frankly, without advocacy from the business side of the house, in addition to the veteran initiative leaders. So Laura Lynn, thank you so much. Kevin and I actually met Laura Lynn a few years ago through her husband. So relationships, it's funny, you just never know where relationships are going to take you. So we're thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Candy. And thanks to both of you for the partnership and everything you do for our veterans.
100%. Rob, Mike, Mo, I'll let you guys jump in. And then, Keon and Terrence, we're so happy to have you here. But Rob and Mike and Mo, I'll let you guys jump in first.
Yeah, sure. So again, my name's Robert Perkins, whichever. I've been called many of those things. I am a 6-year veteran of the Army. I came out as a buck sergeant. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was in the infantry. One thing, anything I'll say right at this moment is I found ADP through a career fair on post. So if you are still in and transitioning, take full advantage of those, every opportunity, and go the path that go the opposite path than you're being told. Because that's exactly what it is. Because I knew I'd be comfortable doing what infantry is supposed to do. And so I went everywhere else, and that's how I found out where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mo Abdel-Jabber. I'm a director of client services here at ADP in the small business division. I've been with ADP for about 6 years. Prior to that, I spent 4 years in the U.S. Army. 88 Mike, for those of you who don't know, I was driving trucks. So you can only imagine that's not a whole lot of transferable skills, or that's what I thought, from driving trucks to go back to corporate. But coming to ADP and being surrounded by a lot of people that spent some time in the military before ADP helped me a lot. I'm excited to, in a little bit share with you some of the groups that we have within ADP that helped me transition, some of the leaders that helped me transition as well. Definitely understand what you guys are going through, whether in school or about to retire and jump in corporate. It's definitely, it's not easy to jump from one company to another, let alone jump from military career to civilian career. So I think it's very important to connect and network with others, attend these groups. So thank you for Candy and Kevin putting this together. I feel definitely honored to be here and share my perspective with all of you. And at the end, I just want to echo what Harris said, go Army, be Navy. I'll see you guys Saturday.
Right.
Yes, I can go next. So this is Mike Rasmussen. So I am been with ADP for 8 years now. I'm actually a transplant from the Bay Area, and now I live in Utah. So I've been working on our client service roles for these 8 years, and talent acquisition is a passion. I do love working with veterans, and that's a wonderful thing. So don't ever let anyone tell you that as a veteran that your skills aren't important, because they absolutely are, and they're transferable, and they're amazing skills. And I can tell you from first glance, when I see a resume, if I see a veteran resume, I will take it very seriously, and it's one of the first resumes I will pull and immediately call. So I want you to know that that is something you can be very proud of, and employers definitely don't discount that experience, because we find it to be very valuable and powerful. So I'm also a graduate of San Jose State University. So.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you all for being here. We have 2 more special guests. Harris, I think Keon and Terrence are going to talk when I hand it back over to you in just a second. But Keon and Terrence, would you mind to just say hello to everybody really quickly? We're thrilled that you're here, and more thrilled that you're in the roles that you're in. Keon, can you go?
Oh, I guess I'll just do a quick introduction. My name is Terrence Stewart. I'm a 12-year Air Force veteran, currently in the Skill Bridge program with ADP as an implementation specialist. So I don't want to be too long-winded, so I'll pass it over to
Awesome.
Keon.
Terrence, we're thrilled you're here. Hi, Keon.
Okay. Hi, Candy, and everyone else, panelists and attendees. I am Keon Cortez. I'm in the process of retiring from the United States Army. I've been in the service for almost 24 years, started in the Marines as 7051 Crash Fire Rescue, transferred to the Army as a medic, and then became a recruiter where I met Lieutenant Colonel Morley. I think it's hilarious that he jokes that he worked for me, but I definitely worked for him. But I'll be retiring as a Master Sergeant here, and I think my last day, I'm on my transition leave now, but my last day starts will be 28 February, and I'm excited to be an intern with the DoD Skill Bridge program at ADP as an implementation specialist.
You guys, I'm really happy to see you both. Thank you so much for being here. So I have just a couple more things that I wanted to briefly share with the group, and then Harris, I will turn it over to you. So guys, here's the thing. Just as a reminder, this is the 15th session in the Fall 50 Strong series. All the replays are available on our website. We want you to have access to the employers and the information. Really quickly, I just want to give you a brief snapshot. Our very first session had a lot of information around just leveraging LinkedIn. And we also had the CEO of Veterati join us. If you're not using Veterati, please take advantage of it. And then I just want to give you a snapshot of some of the employers for those of you that haven't seen yet. Amazon, Deloitte, we had a whole bunch of SkillBridge interested employers joining us. Microsoft has been on, Tech Systems, Procter & Gamble, Mayo, Amazon's been back. And then you guys, just some amazing companies, right? Booz Allen, Costco, Uber. By the way, if you were not with us to hear from Michael Pett last week at Uber, please go check out. He had 2 minutes of glorious sharing. The point is, guys, there are so many employers that are actively trying to share out their pathways. Every time they join us, everybody is basically like, hey, connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn, reach out, right? Just proactively reach out. So if you missed any of those sessions, please take advantage of the replays. What's coming for us in spring 2021? This was meant to be a fall project. Frankly, we didn't know how it was going to go. But based on feedback from attendees, our university partners, and employers, we are going to continue this series into the spring. We're going to take a few weeks off, but we will be back in late January. So please stay tuned for that and join us. Also, we're going to be launching a 50 Strong Skill Bridge Connect in the spring that is specifically meant to help connect active duty folks to Skill Bridge internships at employers. So stay tuned for more on that. quick housekeeping. The chat box, I see lots of you leveraging this. Please, again, this is a great opportunity for you to use this to your advantage and network with other attendees that are joining us. If you want to send messages just to the speakers, please use the Q&A box. Only the speakers see that. If you don't know how to find your LinkedIn URL, I see lots of you putting it into the chat box. I just quickly wanted to show you how to do that. You just click on your little picture up in the upper right, go to view profile, contact info, and you'll find it there. David Martinez, thank you for pointing out earlier, you do need to put in the HTTP. So basically you can copy that and then paste it into the chat box to connect with folks that are here today. So thanks to all of you that are doing that. Listen guys, lots of our speakers are already doing that. Please take them up on their offers to connect directly. And with that, Harris, I will turn it over to you. Again, I just want to say thank you all, not only for being here today, but you guys, part of the reason that we were able to do this series is in large part due to ADP. So every week they've been making it possible for us to bring in lots of employers. ADP, we really, really appreciate you. And with that, Harris, I will turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Candy. What I wanted to do, we've got a whole bunch of folks that can talk about a lot of things here at ADP, but I just wanted to level set a little bit with the audience to just talk a little bit about what ADP is, what we do, and really to set the tone that, you know, we're here to try to help and educate, whether you choose to come to a company like ADP or one of the other companies that are out there that are, you know, actively looking for veteran talent. We want to make sure that we're trying to help you all. So if we can go to the next slide, Candy, go ahead and jump into, thanks. So what is ADP? We are a comprehensive global human capital management company that has solutions that are HR related, things such as payroll, talent, time, tax, benefits administration, and we do a lot of work for our clients in outsourcing their HR pieces that they need help with. And so we do that for clients of all sizes. You can see we were founded in 1949. We've got 58,000 associates worldwide. About 28 to 30,000 of those are here in the U.S. 810,000 clients worldwide. You can look through some of the numbers here. We're one of those big companies that you may not have ever heard of. A lot of folks know us because of what we do as it relates to payroll. But if you're like me, when I was in the military, the only thing I knew about payroll was DFAS. I had no idea that there were even other companies out there because I was 17 when I joined. And, these are things that you just don't learn about as you're going through your military career, but are certainly opportunities that you can have available to you. I am based out of our Roseland office, and I actually run the veterans initiatives for ADP. So I'm in New Jersey, while a lot of these other folks are out there in the Phoenix, Tempe area. Next slide. So, I talked a little bit about what we do, and, that's part of the reason why we're on this call is because we want to try to help educate people about things that are part of our business and where you might fit in. But I think it's even more important before you start getting into what you want to do next. I mean, that's obviously a very, very important piece to all of this. But as you're going through that process, are you looking at, what is it that the values that you hold as a service member who's getting out? If you're like me, you got out, the foundation of all my values were formed in those formative years as a young, guy joining the military. And that's who I am at my core, and I always will be. And so I think it's really important to understand the values of the companies that you're looking at. And, for me, ADP's been an amazing company because I believe that us as veterans, we really are all about the people. And now I'm a part of this human capital management company, which is all about people and helping people that are, working with our clients. And so it's important to find purpose. How do you find that purpose in your next gig that you're going to do post-military? And so I tell you, take a look at these values, think about what these values are, and do the same for other companies, and dig down into it. Talk to people in the companies, understand, like, how do they live these values every day in what they do. Next slide. You saw social responsibility was one of those things I just wanted to kind of share with folks without getting into the business side of things, which we have folks that'll be talking about that with us. But it's important to be able to give back. That's why folks from the military are on this call right now. We all want to give back. We all want to throw the rope back down, put the ladder down, and help those who are coming behind us. We all struggled through this, and anybody that tells you that they didn't is a liar. So it's really, it's a tough time, and it takes a lot of adjustment. And how we can help you as veterans that have made that jump, believe me, everybody wants to help out there, and don't be afraid to reach out for that help as you go looking for your next career. Next slide. So one of the things that I wanted to do, and we bring veterans in across the spectrum. So I'm going to talk a little bit right now about the DoD Skill Bridge, but that's not all we do. We bring in experienced veterans, those who may have been out of the military for a long time. We bring in folks who are just, recently transitioned. We bring in folks that are still in the military through DoD Skill Bridge. And so understanding that there's a lot of different pathways into a company, and understanding those pathways is critical to your future success. And don't let me, I should have mentioned student veterans as well. Not only do you have a current degree, but you also have all the leadership and those transferable skills that you gained while you're in the military. And that's a very critical piece to us as well. So, we started out working through 50 Strong to get the DoD Skill Bridge program going at ADP. And we started out in Tempe. And so both Keon and Terrence that are on the line came in. And so, I thought the best way for us to probably help others on the line that may be thinking about going that DoD Skill Bridge route is to just kind of go through maybe a few things and allow Terrence and Keon to educate those of you about like what they did and what they went through as they're thinking about things. So if I can, let me start with Keon, if that's okay. Can you kind of talk to the folks about, what it is that how did you get yourself prepared to even go down this path? Like, what did you have to do as far as applications and things of that nature?
Definitely. Thank you, Harris. So I don't know, I think I might, I don't know how everyone's experiences are different, and I might be somewhat of an anomaly. But I was very fortunate to have Lieutenant Colonel Morley as my battalion commander at the Phoenix Recruiting Battalion, who was very supportive. My entire command was very supportive of my retirement and how I was transitioning from the Army after so many years of service. But he really mentored me in how to go about kind of looking for that civilian employment, and that was instrumental. So he pressured me big time into getting a LinkedIn account and made me take a bunch of little mini classes on LinkedIn on how to set up my profile, how to set up my personal pages and summaries. We talked about resumes and transferring, those military terms and the military jargon into civilian words. So it's a little bit more palatable for the civilian sector. And he put me in contact with Candy with 50 Strong, and I had reached out to some other companies out there that kind of do the same thing as Candy, but no one for me was as involved as Candy was in this process and as determined as she was to find me a match with the DoD Skill Bridge program and a company that was looking for an internship. So I sent her my resume. She reviewed it, recommended a couple of changes. We made those corrections. And she really went out of her way, to send my resume to ADP because she knew that ADP was looking for DoD SkillBridge candidates, and she sent it to them, got the interview set up, got me, in contact with Harris. And so right away, we had that interview, I want to say within a week or two of them reviewing my resume. It was crazy stressful for me because I'd never interviewed for any position in my life. I had joined the service, pretty much left 3 days after I graduated from high school. But, I got with Candy again between her and Colonel Morley, and we talked about the interview process, what kinds of questions that were going to be asked, how to answer those questions, and they really prepared me for that. And then I got to conduct that interview with Harris, my senior director for implementation, Trent, and then the senior director for client services, Walt, was on there as well because he was a Navy veteran, and they offered me a position. And since end of October, I've been doing my new hire training with them, and it's been an amazing experience.
That's great. That's great. And I think it's helpful, you never know. I always find it really interesting when you talk to non-veterans, like we never had to use a resume to move from one position to another in the military. We don't even use those things. So it's interesting when, all of a sudden you're getting out and you've got to figure out all these new things simultaneously as you're going through. So I appreciate that response. Terrence, I've got a quick question for you. And maybe we'll come back to Keon even afterwards on this one. As you came in, like what kind of skills have you been able to leverage as you came into ADP, that you had learned in the military? And obviously you're learning right now, deep into learning about how we do things, but what skills have you been able to tap into to help you as you've done this internship?
For me personally, the two skills that stand out the most, attention to detail and teamwork. You'll hear with ADP, it's like drinking from a fire hose. A lot of information is challenging. And attention to detail has really helped me stay in the game and stay with the training and stay with, learning everything, because it is a big transition. Just, it was mentioned before, just the terminologies. Talking to individuals in the training class with myself, and I have to explain what I'm saying or ask them to explain what they're saying because I have no idea what they're referring to. Words that just same word, two different meanings. So attention to detail has really been helpful in the situation of the transition. The second one, teamwork. Teamwork is something I learned in the military, and it has been on a full display with ADP. There's been a lot of challenging times, but never once have I not had support from the team. Never once have I been denied the keys to succeed. They're always there, always available. And it has just been an absolute pleasure to see such teamwork in an organization, especially since that was one of my biggest fears of not having that element. I was so used to it. Yeah. I desired to have it in my next employment. And after I got with ADP, seeing it in full display was it was great.
That's great. It's important, right? Teamwork is what we've done our whole military careers, and it's part of who we are and what we expect. And so I'm happy to hear that that's your experience. Keon, did you have any thoughts or skills that you were able to kind of leverage that may have been different from Terrence's?
Not so much. I would say, I think he hit the nail on the head on all of that, with the attention to detail, teamwork and collaboration, time management as well. Just because, yes, they're out there and they give us these, we have our training plans for our new hire training, and just making sure that, with that time management that we're able to stay on task outside of the formal training that we're doing in class. But just to echo Terrence on this too, ADP, the culture at ADP has been phenomenal, and the support that they provide. So I couldn't put that out there more with how well they've done, because coming from the military side, you receive that support, but not to the point where everyone is reaching out to make sure that you're successful. I've had follow-up conversations with you, Harris, with Walt, with Trent. Laura Lynn has reached out to me, you know, and her as the general manager of ADP and Tempe. I think that's huge. It's just how focused in everyone is on the success of its personnel, of its staff. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks. And you know, honestly, I have to say thanks to everybody. I'm in New Jersey. It's that team out there in Tempe that's making this all happen and really providing that support. And that's what you deserve. And I'm happy that, you know, they're able to do that for you. So thank you, Laura Lynn, to you and the entire team out there. So I guess the last little question I'll have, and then we'll kind of roll into, you know, bigger things like what are the other kind of roles and, you know, what does a client service look like at ADP? But I just had a question to either of you that wants to answer it. What are your thoughts? You know, were there things, anxieties, things that you were concerned about as you were getting ready to make this transition? Like what were those things? And this is really more to share with others, right? As they're starting to think about that path and, you know, what things were real and what things were just in your mind that you kind of had to, they worked themselves out. And maybe you've touched on some of them already, but I'm curious.
I guess I can jump in and start. I know for me, I had a lot of anxieties about the first day with ADP. I attribute it to kind of being like akin to back when you were in high school or when you were a kid and it was like your first day of school. And you knew that you were going to know people within your classes, but you were still nervous. And it was like, who are my friends going to be this year? How are my teachers going to be? So it was kind of along that similar line for me. So I was very nervous about it. But what really helped me overcome that was, again, it was that support from ADP that I completely did not expect, down to, you know, receiving a whole shipment, a work from home shipment of my computer and my monitor and keyboard and headsets and, you know, all those minute little details that I probably never would have thought of about having to, you know, have that comfort of working from home that ADP provided. To the new hire coaches and their personnel from their technical support team reaching out to make sure that we had everything set up properly. We had everything provisioned properly. We knew what was going to be going on a day-to-day basis. And then another anxiety for me was, you know, how was I going to be able to interact with people within ADP or other new hires in this same position when I'm coming in from a background that's not necessarily HR oriented. Yes, I was within recruiting in the Army, but we don't use any of the same systems. We don't use any of the same technology really, or the terminology like Terrence pointed out. But ADP has provided all kinds of learning resources for us to make sure that we stay on track and that, you know, we have all the support we need to move forward and to learn this job. And he was definitely right. It's like drinking from a fire hose. But that's one of those things that, again, that, you know, the service has provided, because a lot of our training is condensed down, you know, so like when I went through training to be an EMT, instead of taking 6 months to a year, it was, you know, 4 weeks shoved down, you know, drinking through that fire hose. So know that you have that experience no matter what type of position that you go into. You already are experienced in learning things quickly, being a quick learner and picking things up on the go. And that's going to be a huge benefit to you as you transition into any position.
That's great. No, thanks. And we can certainly circle back around on some of these items if there's questions later on. Candy, can you go forward? Because what I'd like to do is also give Rob and Mo an opportunity to talk about what they do in client services. You know, yes, we bring people into those types of roles through DoD SkillBridge, but we also bring people in as full-time employees, entry level, and on such. So, you know, maybe I turn it over to the two of you, and you can just talk and educate people a little bit about what you do, and help them understand, you know, where and how their skills that they bring from the military actually fit within that world. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Harris. So, yeah, so just a little bit of an intro of what I do right now. So I'm a director of client services in SBS, the small business services. So to make it as simple as possible within ADP, we have three major business units. Small business services. So basically, we service clients who have 1 to 50 employees. Then you have major account services, anything from 50 to 1,000 employees. And then you have nationals, servicing clients who have 1,000 plus employees. So I started with ADP about 6 years ago in our El Paso, Texas office. I started entry level as a consultant, taking calls from our clients directly, from our small business clients, helping them with whatever issue they have, questions they might have, and just trying to take that off their plate to give them some time back in their days so they can focus on their business. I would say probably one thing that helped me a lot is from my transition was that client services had the same mentality that we had in the military. If you think about the military, we all volunteer to serve, right? We serve our country, we serve our community, we serve our parents, our family. We do it so others don't have to do it. So it's always been service above all. And that's the same mentality that we have in client services. We serve our communities. We take calls and we try to help small business owners. So those are people that you deal with on a daily basis. Some of them might be struggling to make a living. The way I look at it, they're the backbone of our economy, and they provide the most amount of employment to Americans out there. So being able to take some of the skills that I learned in the military and others have learned to transfer them to client services has been amazing. And some of those skills Terrence and Kine talked about are, teamwork, being disciplined, attention to details. What we do on a daily basis is we help these clients and these employers run payroll for their employees. So we impact the livelihood of Americans out there, and we impact the livelihood of their children as well. So it's very important to have attention to details, and knowing that's something that you take from the military with you, because it impacts lives overall. And it's the same thing with client services and some of the things that we do. Another thing that it helped me and helped a lot of veterans is being disciplined. Since boot camp or basic training, you were taught to be disciplined, to wake up at a specific hour, to go to lunch at a specific hour, and to go to bed at a specific time. So it's really the same mentality that you have when you deal with clients and when you service these clients. You have to be disciplined with your day in, day out. You have to have time management to know how to provide the best solutions possible for them. And overall, it has a positive impact on them. A lot of my old buddies that are transitioning right now, they reach out to me and they tell me that they're looking for, jobs that are outside of corporates, something had to do with trucking, because that's what we did in the military, because they don't realize how much skills they took out of the service, and what those skills can help them with in jobs in corporate America and even small businesses as well. And I try to work a lot with them to bring that perspective to them. You learn a lot in the military, whether you realize it or not. Once you start thinking about it and put it in perspective and try to compare what you do, what you did in the military to corporate America, it's pretty much similar. Even when it comes down to the values that we were taught in the Army or the Navy. Integrity is everything. That's the same values that we have at ADP. Every person count. We have the same values as well in the military. So I encourage you all to work on those resumes. Reach out to people who've done it before and still doing it, some other organizations as well, to know how you can utilize these skills that you learned prior in the military service and how you can transfer them to corporate America. But again, if you're passionate about helping others, if you're passionate about positively impacting the livelihood of others, small business owners and their employees, I think client services is a great place to start. And if you have a lot of attention to details, teamwork, you're disciplined, and you like to get to leadership, I think it's a great place to start. That's where I started from, and it helped me tremendously to be where I'm at right now. And I'll just leave a little bit for Robert to go over his experience and what he thinks of client services as well.
I'll take the little bit. No, I was the same route. I started out, I'm in small business services as well. So I work in the same business unit as Mo there. I started out on the floor with taking calls with the clients. I was what was called associate client support consultant, entry level. Never done it before, had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, when I introduced myself, that's exactly what I wanted, because of the abilities and the values and the skills that I gained in the military, such as adaptability. I know what I can do, but that's not what I want to do anymore. That's why I left. So what else can I do? How about time management? I can make things happen when they need to happen. That's extremely important in the corporate world. I have integrity, again, extremely important. We all have that. That's something we want to carry over and we build on, because that helps us do our best every day. Work standards, work excellence, teamwork, partnering when we have a difficult time. It's exactly what we need. And I love being here with ADP, the corporate world, as we're all saying and seeing, because the opportunities are boundless and there's so much more than they would be in the smaller. I'm not saying that you can't go that route, but the path to your end game or end goal is not going to be straight, no matter how much you want it. And I strongly recommend to go the path that you necessarily weren't looking at, and take full advantage of those skills you'll gain there, and then take them to where you actually want to do the work that you want to do. It's exactly what needs to happen. It's exactly what I did. And I'm going to keep doing.
Guys, I love this conversation. I love it.
Good. So yeah. I think, Laura Lynn, did you want to, from your perspective as the GM, and, you've got a large building there. Do you want to kind of give your thoughts on it?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Harris. And it's been so wonderful to hear, Robbie and Mo share their experiences. And I know Keon and Terrence, you're at the start of your experience with ADP. We value our veterans at ADP. We celebrate our veterans at ADP. And, just to echo what so many people have said already, the skills that you have coming out of the military are so transferable to the corporate world. And at ADP especially, you'll use many of your talents and skills every day. And I think Mike mentioned that veterans are, something that we absolutely look at from when we see that on our resumes. You are very strong from a talent perspective. And please know that if you need help, getting that resume together, reach out to your resources, have those interview questions just prepared and those answers prepared, because what you've done is obviously so important to our country, to every citizen, but it's also very important in terms of what you bring to the table from your value perspective and what you'll bring to a company and a corporation in your next role.
Hey, Harris, can I jump in for a quick second?
Sure.
So just for everybody to know, the championship by Laura Lynn is basically what enabled Harris to kind of push forward in his capacity to start SkillBridge. Harris, I know you have to drop, but before you do,
sure.
Can you just talk any, maybe future 2021 plans for SkillBridge for those folks that may not be coming to the Arizona area?
Yeah. So I let me kind of lay out the geography a little bit of ADP major offices. In addition to Tempe, we have offices in El Paso, Texas. So think Fort Bliss. We have Norfolk for Norfolk Naval Station, Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon. MacDill Air Force Base is close to Orlando. Southern Command is near Miami. Which one am I missing? Louisville, Kentucky, Fort Knox. So we have very large offices that sit near major military installations. And so what we would like to be doing within the next year is expanding that DoD SkillBridge program to these other locations where we know we've got opportunities in sufficient numbers to support, our support of the DoD SkillBridge program. So it is in our future plans. We're having discussions about it now. I'm working with DoD in order to get our own MOU set up so that we can do that in a little more, where we can post the jobs and things of that nature. So to your point, Candy, there will be more opportunities and we're working towards that now.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you guys so much. But again, it definitely, Laura Lynn, none of this would have been possible without you guys kind of in the Tempe office, kind of jumping in to give it a shot. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's been our pleasure. It's been awesome having Keon and Terrence on board as well. So Candy, I think, there's a couple of folks that are having to drop from ADP. Sorry about that. So maybe Mike could jump in with some overview of the roles, perhaps?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome.
That is completely fine. Or better yet, I could take live questions from the candidates themselves and the participants and see if they have specific questions for a recruiter and what we look for. I could take it from that angle because that's the role I play.
I love it, Mike. So anybody out there, first of all, to those of you on the ADP team that need to drop, thank you so much for being here. We are tremendously appreciative for your time. Mike, I love that approach because we do have a little bit of extra time. So for those of you out there that have questions, please feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A box and we'll take a look at them. Looks like some have come through already that were already answered. But any questions for Mike?
Make sure you take yourself off mute.
All right, looks like we have a question that came through. Okay, Joshua, thank you for your question. Joshua's question is, can you talk more about the implementation roles that are available? Does anybody want to take that one?
Many of our roles, we have, because Tempe is a one ADP site, you're going to have a lot of different positions in implementation. And implementation can range, if I remember correctly, I think national accounts is out there. That's one of our bigger enterprise level business units that serves enterprise level clients. There's major accounts, which is our middle market segment. They service clients that are 50 to 1,000 employees, and then there's small business. So those are what I call our flagship business units, but there's also other areas of our business which service clients as well. There's compliance solutions, which is helping with taxes, employment authorizations, a whole specific group of things that are important to our clients. And they actually work with most of our business units. There's also HRO, which also takes on more of the complexity of our clients' business needs. And that means they may have other compliance related matters that help them, and they have more HR related outsourcing solutions to help them. So when it comes to implementation is really there's something I like to call the client relationship lifecycle. And the client relationship lifecycle begins in sales. So every client will go through a sales process. Some may also refer to this as RFP, or request for proposal. Usually that's a stage where a client has utilized, they need a help with outsourcing. And so that's where ADP steps in as a business outsourcing provider. And then what we do is our implementation team steps in after sales has done their part and signed the client up and procured the contract and whatnot. So implementation has various roles. Project management, for instance, project managers are in charge of overseeing the entire setup process and setting the roadmap for the client. It's a client-facing role. It almost plays the role of an account manager while they're getting set up on the ADP system and platform. Other positions might be more in a discipline sense. We have different implementation consultant roles that might have a specific module that connects with a specific ADP system. So for instance, time and labor management. If you were looking at our Workforce Now product, which is primarily for mid-sized clients, you'd be looking at a time and labor management professional who works with time clocks and sets those up. So those could be IT professionals that were working in an information technology environment where they were providing support. And There's also our payroll division, which works with clients that, or sorry, our payroll modules that are specifically geared to payroll, and HR systems, which help with an HR implementation consultant, for example, might focus on very specific HR niche compliance. And then there's a benefits modules as well. So, you know, we kind of segment, and those professionals help with those specific setup of, and that's what they tend to specialize in. They get really good at it. Other roles, you might have our managerial track. So you might have implementation manager roles that specifically oversee an implementation team, and they manage a very specific implementation team. So that's a few of the roles in implementation that you might see. Implementation specialists might be what they call configuration implementation specialists, where they're working on very specific setup steps and data entry and supporting the client and getting information into our systems to be accurate and so forth. So that's just some examples of implementation.
Awesome. Let me see what other questions we have coming in. Okay. Question. This is a really good question. How many candidates are usually competing for a position? Mike, do you have any perspective on this?
I do. In fact, depending on the role, we can get hundreds of resumes. So, you know, you might have, I've seen as many as 500 resumes for one position. Now, that's not going to be that often, but there are, these days, we have more candidates coming in than ever before because of COVID, right? We have the COVID situation, which in essence has made more candidates on the market. So, you know, I'm guessing the reason this question is being asked is how do you stand out from that group? Well, here's what you do. You want to target your resume. One great way to do that is if you go to a tool called, well, it's actually a job search meta site. It's called Indeed.com. They now own simplyhired.com, which does the same thing. But basically, they corral all the different positions that are open across the web into one spot. So you could type in a specific job title and pull all the different titles for that role and all the disciplines that and folks that may be hiring in a targeted geographic area or across the country, whatever you choose. So it's the key is go and look at what the job descriptions are showing that are published and look at some of the keywords that are in there. And if you have some of those keywords in your experience and skill set, plug those into your resume. And that can help you get found. And so keywords is how we search. If you have any certifications, any relevant skills, you know, some people will tell you if you have a shorter resume, 2 pages is usually good. Go 10 years back on your work experience, that's usually sufficient. Target your resume to the job that you're looking for and make sure that you match it up as best you can so that you match to the disciplines in play. So there's a lot of bad career advice out there too. I always say to everybody, look at what are some of your career-based accomplishments? What is it that you've done that makes you stand out? Create a summary of qualifications and put that to the top of your resume and have some of your career-based accomplishments up there. And that makes it easy to find what you've done. I mean, aside from the keywords that you're putting on there, have a lot of career-based, accomplishment-based statements for the role that you're going for and target that in your summary of qualifications, and that will help you stand out. So
awesome. Thank you so much for that, Mike. I am going to, if we have more time in just a few minutes, I am going to see if there's more questions. But a couple of things as your other questions may be coming in. You guys, I mentioned that Kathy Hennice from Boeing was unable to join us today, but I want to make sure that I'm getting some information to you guys that might be here that are specifically interested in Boeing. Here's what I want you to know about Boeing. About 15% of Boeing's workforce is made up of veterans. I cannot impress upon you enough that if you are interested in a career at Boeing, you need to go to LinkedIn and you need to follow Kathy Hennice right now. Now, hint, Kathy has a lot of connections, so don't necessarily send her a connect request, but you can follow her page easily in case she's at her 30,000 connection mark. And then As they have more opportunities that are coming out, Kathy's going to be posting those and you'll have access to that. I've also put in where you can go to find out all about the full-time careers at Boeing. I also want to let you know, we've talked a lot about SkillBridge today. Boeing, as of, I think, July of this year, has their authorization from the DoD for their national SkillBridge program, and is right now has a site that's live in order for you to submit your interest in which areas that you may be interested in. I've also put the link there for that. What Kathy asked me to share, again, they're just getting started on SkillBridge, so please stay tuned for more information on that. There are immediate needs right now in San Antonio for aviation techs. So if that is something that you're interested in exploring, please go submit your interest at one of those links. But of course, please stay tuned to what Kathy's posting ongoing. I'm going to ask my other panelists that are here with us to keep an eye on that Q&A box. I think a couple of questions may come up based on today's giveaway that I wanted to talk about. So for those of you that are here with us, at the end of every session, I like to do a little giveaway. Also, I like to shop at Amazon. Amazon is also one of our series sponsors. So we have a gift card giveaway today, $100 from Amazon. The third person that types the right answer to this question in the Q&A box is going to win the gift card. No repeat winners. So Kevin, if you can help me keep an eye on this. We've talked a little bit about this today, guys, but in the September 10th session of 50 Strong, Kevin Wordy joined us and he gave a whole 90 minutes on demystifying the civilian recruiting process. If you have not checked out the replay, please go to our website sometime over the holidays and do that. In my opinion, what he shared is foundational, and it also spans many, many, many employers. So Kevin shared 4 key funnels as ways to get into companies. Campus recruiters, those that are hiring experienced folks, so experienced recruiters, veteran recruiters. Now, keep in mind, not every company is going to have a veteran-specific recruiter, so that one may not apply. But there was a 4th pathway that Kevin shared. The third person to type the right answer for the 4th pathway into the Q&A box, again, the Q&A box, not the chat, the Q&A box, is going to win the $100 Amazon gift card. So Kevin, I cannot see the Q&A box right now. Can you let me know if there is a third person that has typed in the right answer?
There is a first person.
Oh, a first person that's typed in the right answer.
There's only one person so far.
Uh-oh. Okay, so that tells me we're going to spend a couple of minutes talking about what the right answer is. And Mike, you started to touch on this, I think.
Do you want me to give you the answer? Or you know the answer, but do you want me to tell you the person?
Do we have 3 people that have gotten it yet by chance?
No, ma'am.
Okay, the first person got it right. Okay, so the first person that got it right is going to get the $100 Amazon gift card.
That's Mike Glazer.
Mike, congratulations. The 4th way into a company is referrals from somebody that works in the company. Okay, so with that, congratulations, Mike. I am going to talk a little bit about that specific question. A couple of our speakers have talked about the importance of networking and being on LinkedIn and engaging. I want to share with you a couple people that I want you to go follow their content quickly. One of them is Matthew LaPont, who works at Amazon. Matthew shared a great post recently, and he basically said that he believed in meritocracy when he got out of the military, and that if he was good at his job, it will all work out and he would just find another job. The problem is that meritocracy only works when combined with awareness. So what Matthew was doing is every day, regardless of the company, he is sharing out every opportunity shared by any recruiter inside of his network, and he is well connected. So I encourage you to go follow Matthew right now. Tell him that you heard about him at 50 Strong. And what that will help is that will help drive a little bit of awareness for what jobs that are out there. I also want to talk about engagement and how you can build those relationships so that when it comes time for a referral, it's a much easier process. So Andrew shared something recently on LinkedIn that I thought was really awesome. Engagement on LinkedIn is what drives your exposure and helps you build your relationships. And he said it's kind of like going to a party, getting a drink, and sitting in the corner waiting for somebody to come talk to you. Now is the time to proactively be building your relationships. We're in COVID, so we're going to all have to do it virtually, but LinkedIn is a really good way for you to start doing that. Now, to be clear, posting is not for everybody, and I think we all get that, right? But there are easy ways to start engaging and building virtual relationships so that when it comes time to ask politely for a referral, you've already started to engage in a way that is meaningful. So if you need any quick tips on how to engage on LinkedIn, reminder that we did a whole session on this, and there's lots of ways that you can get just input on LinkedIn. But just start by checking your newsfeed daily. I mean, I can't tell you how many people set up a profile and don't check it, right? You got to check your newsfeed. And then every day, just find 2 to 3 posts that resonate with you and maybe give it a little thumbs up like. Maybe when you're ready, of those 1 to 2 relevant posts that you come across, maybe comment, right? Thank the person for posting. What really happens is you're building relationships as you're commenting on the information that people are putting out there. So let me be clear. I have personally given personal referrals based on the way people are engaging on LinkedIn in positive ways, building people up, trying to help other people through things that they're finding. So there are easy ways to engage. Listen, I'm not a believer that you got to post every day. You don't have to, but you can leverage LinkedIn in a way that helps you build your relationships. Again, relationships are what get you to the referral at the right time. I'd love to hear any feedback from any of my guests on any of that. Anybody? Amen. All right.
I will second that. It's tough to get on LinkedIn if you're not used to being on social media. Because
you may have some personal experience there, Kev, huh?
I do have a little personal experience with the just jump on LinkedIn and just start partying, and it's kind of awkward, just like all the transition stuff. I mean, at least just kind of watching it. I still don't do it. I'm terrible at it. I find excuses not to because I'll just rather chat with engineers about stuff. But it is, the more you're on it, the more you see it. It's just like going from the military into civilian world. You just understand the culture and certain things you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. But engaging, giving the little thumbs up. You know, I thought the earth would stop spinning when I gave my first thumbs up, and it's like, oh, well, nothing really happened. You know, it just is what it is. You know, so it's just kind of just being a part of it from a distance, and then there as things go on, certain things might resonate. And if you're actively looking for work, you're probably much more motivated to engage a little bit more. But I would say, just like Candy was saying, just start by just kind of looking at the feed, and eventually you see some stuff and give a thumbs up and make a remark here and there. And it doesn't have to, you know, you don't have to be Shakespeare when you're doing it. Just something positive. Don't be negative. I will say that. Don't be negative. That it will not serve you very well in that environment. In a professional environment, being negative is a death sentence.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
be positive.
Thank you, Kev.
Can I add on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So 2 things for the group. Number 1 is listen to Candy, because pretty much everything that I've done on LinkedIn, I either learned through Candy directly or through someone who's kind of an expert on LinkedIn that Candy referred me to. Hey, check out so-and-so, check out so-and-so, you know. And so I started following those people and seeing what they were saying. Took a couple classes. You know, Candy and Kevin have since posted kind of a how-to on LinkedIn on the website from a previous webinar. And just like Kevin said, if you learn how to do it and you learn that culture, you'll just get better at it over time. And so that's the way I've done it. And then number 2, I'll add to what Candy and Kevin just said. Not only don't be negative, but I would also offer that LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. Leave the politics out of it. on both sides of the aisle, because you're going to piss off 50% of whoever's listening. So with something. So I just keep the politics off of it, no matter how you feel in your own personal life, but keep that off there. But it is excellent, and you can make so many connections in such a short amount of time without a lot of sweat. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Scott. So guys, we have a couple of minutes left. Any last questions from our group, or any of the speakers want to jump in with a thought?
Candy, can I actually start to interrupt real quick? When you have time, can you also post, there's a couple things in the chat about the links to Boeing that you had up there. Are you able to throw those inside the chat when you have them?
Yep, I'll do that right now. Anybody have any last words they want to offer for the group while I'm doing that? Laura Lynn, Mike, Rob, Harris?
I can chime in, if that's right. This is Mike speaking. One thing I will say about LinkedIn, when you go on there, there is actually a lot of great guidance from the tool itself. So as you're building your profile, it will suggest different steps to take to make a complete profile. My recommendation is to follow those to the T. You know, you have a certain amount of character space per each section. And you know, you can get creative and also publish on there. You can write blogs on there. You can do all sorts of things to stand out. You can share video content. You can do a lot of different things. So, you know, LinkedIn groups are coming back, and they've been becoming more popular again. So if you're trying to connect with a specific audience, that's a great way to get noticed for your specific skill set. So if you have a specific discipline you're interested in, LinkedIn groups are still very much in vogue and very helpful, and they've gotten better. So that's been within the last year, those will be coming back into play again. For a while there, they were neglected, but they're getting better now. So as far as your profile though, you know, if you can get LinkedIn recommendations and have a certain amount of those are very helpful to help you stand out as well. So those are great to request and help yourself stand out. There's also a skills section where you can list which skills you have. That will also help you be found. So just a few things you can do.
Wonderful. Awesome. All right, guys. We have 7 minutes left. I have a couple of minutes of wrap up at the very end. If anybody else has any questions or thoughts to jump in with, now is the time. Mike, thank you for your feedback on after you interviewed, and basically Mike just dropped something in. He interviewed for a position, asked 3 people that had common connections with the hiring manager to reach out and advocate, and he had an offer the next day. Listen, this kind of proactive outreach is really, really critical. Any other last questions, guys? If not, I will wrap us up. All right, so let me go back over here. We did our giveaway. All right, so a couple of final reminders before we sign off for 2020. First of all, again, I just want to remind everybody, all the replays for all 15 50 Strong Employer Connect sessions are at our website, www.50-strong.us. Please leverage whatever is helpful for you. Again, we've talked a little bit about LinkedIn. Please just, whatever is comfortable for you, just at least start checking your newsfeed, right? There are jobs posted all the time. I highly recommend that you find your tribe of mentors. I personally like Veterati because it's kind of low commitment and you can date around, if you will, to find a good fit. It doesn't matter, just find folks that can help you in your journey. We talked a little bit about engaging directly and proactively with those in industry. This is a great example. You know, hint, hint, if one of the things for those of you that may have taken a screenshot during this session, you could continue building your relationship with, say, Mo by popping up a post with a picture when he was speaking, and a little bit about what you learned, right? There's easy ways to kind of engage directly with those in industry and build your relationships. Please leverage DoD SkillBridge. I don't care if you're planning to go back to school full time after you get out of the military. It's a really important opportunity. For those of you that are students, please think about part-time opportunities at target employers as pathways. So we have really strong relationships with Wells Fargo and Amazon, and this is something they have both been talking to me a lot lately over the past couple of weeks. Open every door. Do not wait for anybody else to place you. Not a provider, not a VSO, not your school. You have to do your own placement. Please share if this has been helpful for you guys. Please share it. Tag 50 strong. We do our best to respond to every single tag that we get. Not join us next Thursday. My apologies. I should have changed that. Join us in 2021. But please stay tuned for a full schedule of all the employers that we're going to have. You will have a quick post-event survey right after this session. If you have a chance to check it out, please do that. With that, Kevin, I would like to say thank you again for joining me on this journey. It has been, every Thursday has been, our weeks in our family have centered around Thursdays for 15 weeks. So thank you for just kind of joining me on this. I appreciate it.
And thank you for the opportunity. You've done a great job. I mean, it's a huge example when you talk about transitioning. Candy's been in the business world, the corporate world for so long, and she transitioned into the veteran space. And I was a veteran, and it's like, it seems like I should, as a veteran, I've got some insight. It's like, I was a veteran trying to transition, so I didn't know what I was doing. She's done a terrific job of getting groups of people like ADP and Amazon and all these universities. And I'm really grateful that you've led the charge in trying to get these veterans and active duty members to transition successfully. So terrific job, and thank you for just getting this going. This is awesome. Great.
Thanks, Ed. And with that, a huge thank you again to our university partners and to our corporate sponsors for making this entire series possible. Deloitte, Amazon, Tech Systems, if you're out there, we really appreciate you. ADP team, thank you so much for being here today, as well as 2 previous sessions, and thank you for making all of this possible. With that, for those of you that have been joining us, thank you so much to everybody. We look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Thank you much, everybody. Scott Morley, thank you. Mike,
thank you to all of our guests. We really appreciate it.
Laura, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you,
Happy
Boris.
holidays. See you all soon.
Holidays.